Hey guys, so today I'm here with my husband and I'm just gonna be asking him some questions on how did he got into trucking, how did he become owner operator, and if he had enough experience to become an owner operator within 6 months. So Seneca, before you went to Roadmasters to get your CDL, did you had any previous experience within trucking?
I had more than enough experience. I mean, I was in the military for 15 years, drove trucks about 13 of those years. I had 2 years in the infantry, um, and I drove heavy vehicles, vehicles the size of semis, vehicles that was bigger than, regular semis. So, I was pretty confident. I felt like I can transfer what I learned in the military over to the civilian job or civilian sector. So it was
Okay.
it was a pretty easy transition, I guess you could say.
Okay, so you was in the army, correct?
Yeah,
And this is a shirt.
it's my old shirt.
That's his old shirt. So you was in the army. You separated from the army. You went to Roadmasters. You got your CDL, and then you went to work where after getting your CDL?
Well, when I was in Roadmasters, part of the deal was you had to work for Warner, and I didn't mind working for Warner. It was my foot in the door. I never drove a semi in my life, prior to, I guess, the experience that I had in the military. But yeah, it was just a deal.
Okay.
Go to school at Roadmaster, then you got to work for Warner.
Okay. And how long did you work for Warner after Roadmasters?
Roughly 6 months.
Okay. So you went and got your CDL from Roadmasters. The deal was that you had to work for Warner for some time. So you went and worked for Warner for about 6 months. Then you became an owner operator with your own truck, your own authority. Now, do you feel like you was ready to take on that such a like big responsibility?
Easy work.
It was easy work for you.
Easy work. I breezed through the school, so I mean, it wasn't nothing really hard as far as like just actually driving the vehicle. The only hard part was just knowing all the regulations, rules, but a lot of things is just common sense. You just got to pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Really, at the end of the day, so.
Okay. So for you, due to the military experience that you have with trucks, so you feel like you was ready to become an owner operator. It's not like you didn't feel like it was too soon, like you needed to wait
No.
10 years working for a company before becoming your own, business and all of that. You didn't feel like you needed to wait that long. You feel like you was ready.
I drove in combat zones and all types of terrains and situations. So, driving a semi or just having a CDL and driving for anybody was just, I thought it was not a stretch for me.
Okay.
Now, if you want to talk about driving oversized loads, yeah, that would be different for me. But that's not what we do. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So you felt like you was ready. You became an owner operator. Now you have been working under your own authority, being your own boss basically. For how long?
For how long?
For how long? Yeah.
I'm being my own boss.
Yeah.
Well, we got the authority in
In
March. In March.
So it's been less than a year, right?
It's been about 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah, about 8 months.
And throughout the 8 months that you have been, running out here as an owner operator under your own authority with your own truck, do you wish that you would have done anything different, like waited, more time under somebody else's, company? Do you regret anything? Have
no,
you
okay.
had any situations out here within trucking that you feel like, Oh man, I should have waited to get more experience under somebody else's
As
business.
an owner operator?
Yeah.
No.
No.
When you're ready, you're ready.
Okay.
You know, if you're not confident,
Mm-hmm.
you need to not do it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's still a dangerous job at the end of the day. Can be dangerous, I guess you could
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
You know, we all have seen the accidents or whatever, and you're riding a 60 to 80,000 pound vehicle down the road. Yes, that's the reality of it. So it can be dangerous at times. And no, I don't regret anything. Let's hurry up and get this money.
I like that. So, so I know, and because I talk to a lot of drivers on social media and things like that.
Mhm.
I know that a lot of truck drivers, when they're new, they don't feel confident driving like in the mountains, like Oregon, Washington, Wyoming, things like that, Colorado, or driving in the snow, the ice. I mean, we all know that that's like dangerous, and it probably takes. I'm not a driver, but I'm assuming that it takes a different skill set to feel confident with all of that. So for you as an owner operator, you're out there on your own, risking, under your own business, basically your own insurance and all of that. So do you had, before you became an owner operator, do you have the skill set to handle that type of pressure out there on the road?
I mean, again, going back to my time in the service, I drove trucks in the service, or the Army, I guess you could say, for 15 years. So I've seen plenty of situations where I know what you're talking about, driving up and down Montana and Wyoming, Colorado, whatever, and going up and down these hills.
Yeah.
You do the exact same thing in trucks in the service. It's the exact same thing, the exact same way you brake, or the exact same things you have to pay attention to.
Okay.
So it's not a learning curve. It's just you're doing it in a semi now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what about driving in like all type of different weather, like ice and snow and all of that? Was you exposed to that before getting into owner operator?
I was exposed to it in the service.
Okay.
However, when I worked for Werner, I did jackknife in Wisconsin, and that was probably the only time where I was like, this can get ugly. Thankfully nobody got hurt. It was just my truck went into a ditch, had to get towed out. But I jackknifed because I was driving on some black ice.
Okay.
In the middle of the night. It's like 11 to 12 o'clock at night. It's like 10 degrees outside, and it was some black ice on the ground. I'm driving and I see all these cars with their blinkers on. Some cars I see in the ditch, and that's when the alarm started to hit. Like, hey, I'm driving on some black ice. Let me slow down. I slow down, getting ready to go to the off ramp, and it was like a Mini Cooper in front of me. I'm on the black ice. I can't jam brakes. Jam brakes is
My goodness.
the end, the end of you driving. So, it was either hit the Mini Cooper and possibly kill somebody, or take the ditch.
Yeah.
So I chose the ditch, slid into the ditch at like 3 miles per hour, 4 miles per hour. However, I still went in. And when I got out of the truck, I didn't even know I jackknifed. It just, when you're going through the motions of it, you don't know what your trailer's doing.
Yeah.
But when I got out, the trailer was still on the road, on the off ramp, but it was turned sideways, and my truck was in the ditch. So I'm like, and I had a load.
So scary.
Yeah, so I spared somebody's life and I took the L.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where I was going to pull off at was like 100 feet away.
That's the crazy
I had to make it
part.
100 feet and jackknife right before I was getting ready to park, trying to dodge somebody else on some black ice. So
That's crazy.
that's probably the only time where I felt like, yeah, this is dangerous.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, to answer your question though, as far as like blizzards and terrain and all of that stuff, I'd have seen it all. I guess you
Yeah.
could say.
You,
Even up to that point.
you're from Chicago, right? So
I'm from Chicago. You get trained on how to drive in ice and
Yeah.
snow and blizzards.
yeah.
You know, I've been walking in school
And then-
in blizzards. So.
And you spent a lot of time stationed in Fort Lewis, Washington, right? Where the weather is pretty crazy out there too. From
Yeah.
Time to time.
Yeah, I mean, when you go to the field, you go to Yakima, and going to Yakima, Washington, you got to cross mountains and terrain, and so you experience pretty much the exact same situations as you would in a semi.
And
So
with
you
that,
learn early on how to brake, you know, going down a hill, when to accelerate, if you have a stick, you know, downshift or whatever.
so with like with going down to the field and all of that, you was the driver, right? You was the one driving those trucks
Yeah,
a lot of the times.
every time.
Every time.
Every
Okay.
time. Or, I mean, I have a passenger with me, we'll swap out, but,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I felt like I was pretty good at my job. I mean, I
Yeah.
trained other people, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So even with that situation that happened to you with the black ice and all of that, at that moment, I know that you already had the plans to become an owner operator. But at that moment, like, did you ever thought like, oh my God, maybe I am not ready to become an owner operator? No, you didn't change your.
I learned something a long time ago. When I was in the service, I had an accident on base, just like the year 2001. It was like a long time ago, and you know, and I had to tell my chain of command, you know, the sergeants or whatever, people that's in charge of me, I had to let them know what happened, and these were like some angry men, and I got to let them know, hey, I crashed one of the vehicles. So I walk in there, and it was the first time they didn't scream about something, and they just told me, hey, it happens.
Yeah.
You know, if you're out there enough, you're gonna have accidents.
Yeah.
The only time that I ever had an interaction with these guys where they wasn't, and I made a mistake, and they weren't screaming at me about something.
Yeah.
So they were just like, if you do it enough times, you know, you're gonna have accidents. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just report it, and that's it. You know, report it to the MPs, and that's it.
Okay.
So that's what I learned. You know, even up to this day, that's what I know. If you do something enough, something can happen.
Yeah.
So I feel like it comes with the territory.
Okay. So, yeah, that makes sense. So what will you tell somebody out there that it's trying to become an owner operator, but they feel like, like they don't have, that they have to be under somebody else's, business, work for a big company for 10, 15 years. So what will you say to that specific person? Because you went and did it within 6 months. However, you already had a lot of experience. What will you say to a brand new driver that
A brand new driver?
brand new driver, like, should he wait 12 years, 15 years working for Werner or somebody else before he becomes an owner operator?
I would tell him to go over the road.
Okay, with a company.
With the company.
company.
Go over the road with the company for at least a year. If you have zero experience handling big vehicles in terrain and different situations, and you're new all the way around, a rookie, I would say go over the road for about a year so you get your experience, because these companies, they're going to take you everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're going to see it all. City traffic, open terrain, rain, black ice, blizzards, maybe even a tornado or two. So hurricanes, you're going to see everything when you're over the road. So I would say go over the road for at least a year, then make your assessment from that point. Don't speed it up if you're not confident in everything. I feel like it's a lot of drivers out here that I feel like they're doing too much when they're driving.
We see it on the road every day.
Yeah, they be doing too much, and an experienced driver understands that you don't have to always be speeding or going over the speed limit, to get the point A to point B. It's all about planning, scheduling,
Yeah.
and you get there when you get there.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna risk my life
No.
for a load,
No load is worth it.
and whatever you're carrying, they can make it again,
Yeah.
but
Your life.
your
is
life, they can't bring it back.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so just I would tell them wait a year over the road.
Okay. So basically, go work under a company, do all of the learning, all of the mistakes that you're gonna, make, because
Yeah.
it is going to happen. Make them under somebody else's company,
And their insurance.
and their insurance. And then if you feel like you're ready to be an owner operator and you have the finances to do it, why not? Like, why wait
it.
10 or 12 years, right?
Do it. I would suggest if you don't have the funding, I would suggest while you're a company driver, be real frugal and just be able to make a down payment for your truck as big as as much as you can,
Yeah.
and go from that point. And make sure you're not trying to buy the brand new 2024 blah whatever Freightliner Peterbilt.
Yeah.
Forget all that. Get something that's cheap. You can manage the payments.
Yeah.
If you got 500,000 miles on it, that's the halfway point.
Yeah.
Of most trucks. And just start from that point.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally. All right. Well, so like I said, this was just going to be a short clip with,
That's it.
You got some more to share?
Yeah,
What
a lot
else
on
you
my
want to
chest.
share?
Yeah,
What
a
else
lot
you
on
want
my
to share,
mind.
baby?
A lot on my mind.
What else you want to share?
I want to tell it all the secrets.
We're going to make smaller clips so that you can share, the information you want to share.
let the
out
people
there.
know.
But, yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely.
It's none of that pretty stuff.
No.
We tell you the raw, like what it is for
The
real.
reality.
We're not gonna be sitting up here just talking you to death. We'll show you what I'm doing, what's going on, what's happening, what the rates are, whatever.
Yeah. We are all about transparency and honesty because this is the reality of it. We are not trying to glorify trucking because there is nothing sexy about trucking. Like, there is none of that.
It's exciting, but
It's
it ain't
exciting,
but
but
it ain't
it's
sexy.
not. It ain't sexy at all. And you gotta sit at a truck stop for 3 days. We've been sitting here for 3 days. There's nothing sexy about
However,
that.
we got to load tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we already knew we was gonna sit here for a couple of days.
Yeah, so it's all about planning and cutting expenses, cutting business expenses, and we are big on that. So for us, it works.
Yeah.
But so, anyways, this is gonna be it for today, guys. With this clip, I just wanted you guys to hear from Seneca's own mouth about his experience and if he thinks that he got into being an owner operator too soon, that he should, if he should have waited or he was ready to do it, and it seems like he was more than ready to do it, and
Easy
that's why
work.
we did it. So
Easy work.
I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.